Riot by Paramore, which is a classic in terms of the emo genre, or at least as far as like the emo sphere is concerned, because this fits right in with the 2000s, teenage sort of rock pop punk, I guess. I guess that's the thing, like, while this album technically is emo, or is considered emo by a lot of people, I wouldn't consider it like actual emo type thing. It's more soft, it's more like alt rock, more, yeah, like pop punk, I would say. That's sort of the vein of where this album actually lies on. It's actually far more polished than a lot of the many albums that this era had when it came to the emo side of things. Overall, it's a very simple album, I would say, and the singer is by far the best part of it. That is pretty clear. Aside from Misery Business, which is by far the most popular song out of this, I had really not heard the rest of the album, but it's overall pretty solid. I think it's like the pop punk version of 1X in a way. It's softer, not as dark, not as depressing, but it's just as, angst. With that said, I definitely do prefer 1X, and I don't make that comparison purely based on the angst or the vibes, but also just how consistent the entire thing actually is. Like, the sound is very consistent, pretty much like 1X actually is. I think that what it makes this stand out is just the catchiness of the songs alongside of how well they are actually sung, because the singing does fit the songs quite well. With this being said, I do find the entire thing like maybe a bit immature. Like, the album is a bit more immature. Like, it's pretty clear like the entire band wasn't exactly, fully adults when they were making this, especially since, the subject matter doesn't seem to be very deep type thing. It's because I think the best example of this is probably the most well-known song in the album, Misery Business. Not only does this song just, it's pretty much just about, a romantic relationship. It's viewed from a teenager perspective where, you're stealing boyfriends and being better than other girls and not being like other girls type thing, which is like the thing that apparently teenagers cared a lot about back then. Obviously, most adults, or at least the ones who, aren't emotionally stunned, don't really give a shit about these types of things, at least not on such a surface level or a surface degree. What do I like, however, and given the singer, while these weirdly caused a lot of "I'm not like other girls" type behavior, where people were shamed for just liking feminine things, or in this case, I guess music that was more popular, or poppier for that matter, or more oriented to be digested by the quote-unquote basic girl, because, liking rock, which is such an underground thing, which it isn't, by the way. Liking rock is not an underground thing, but, it is seen as that. And I like rock, I like being different and whatnot. And while yes, this is a thing that was incredibly problematic and is problematic to this day, it did give teenage girls a different outlet of expression, an expression where they weren't just confined to a specific type of femininity, where if you aren't feminine or don't look the part, you get shamed for it. It created a more girl-based perspective into a genre which, quite frankly, is filled to the brim with fucking white dudes. Like, emo is just white dude city, pretty much. And that was actually really positive. Not only were girls able to find representation and sing what they can, or being able to essentially just explore other types of music and engage with them, especially when it came to such heavier genres than pop, such as, rock, metal, but it also gave them something to attach themselves to, since, the human experience can be relatable to anyone, but representation allows people to share a more specific perspective of their existence, of their experience, which in this case is one that can be appealing to pretty much half the population of the world. Look, not a lot of women even today exist in rock, so the fact that this existed and got as big as it did is a testament that is, pretty much a thing that is needed. Above everything, it did the representation thing really well. It gave a lot of people a lot of hope and a lot of inspiration to pursue heavier genres than just, usually if you're a girl, you sing pop songs. That's pretty much it. And look, yes, while the fandom of rock stars is mostly women and mostly teenage girls, what I mean by representation is that all of a sudden you actually do have someone that is, super big and super successful, that, is essentially allowed to allow teenage girls to just go and, oh wait, even though I'm a girl, I can still play or sing in a rock band, or and talk about my feelings. Like, this is not just whatever guys or teenage guys are talking about. I can also talk about my own perspective on things. This is pretty cool, and obviously while it doesn't solve the misogyny problems that arts have, especially when it comes to being a woman, it was still a very important step. Overall, though, like, the entire album is a vibe despite its immaturity. It's an album that you can easily put that immaturity aside and, pretend to be an angst teenager again. This might not be my favorite or anything like that, but honestly, I'm glad it exists, and I think it's a very important album, especially due to the representation and everything, and it's just very solid. It sounds good, it's pretty consistent, it's a vibe, and it's something that you can just put on, you don't need to pay super attention to, just easily vibe to it, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I would probably just give it sort of a maybe 8 out of 10.